Welcome back, folks, to section 4.3, day 2, finding the equation of a line if you start with a pair of points. So this would take more steps than we did yesterday because we now don't have the slope, right? We're going to start with a pair of points. So on this sheet right here, you should have this handout right now, okay? You're going to take a look at the first 3 equations. These are going to help us provide the correct answer in the form that is requested. And we need to know those 3 forms. So you're not going to be given those forms. You need to know what they are. And we're going to take this step by step. Okay, so in the example that I want to work through, we know that a line passes through a pair of points, -2, 4, and 4, 1. Now, we always have options. So could we graph these points? Sure. If we were to graph these points and count the slope, we wouldn't need to do the slope formula. If we used a ruler and graph paper and did it accurately, we could observe a y-intercept that's an integer, and we could get the equation like we did in the last section. But we're going to do this completely algebraically, okay? And here's how we're going to do it. So step 1 says find slope. So we're going to find the slope of this line, okay? We know that the slope formula, y2 minus y1 over x2 minus x1. And we can label these. That helps you. You should do that. Nothing wrong with that. So y2 minus y1 over x2 minus x1. Okay, so that's going to be plus negative, -3 over plus positive 6. So the slope is -1/2. So we did the first step. Yes, we got the slope of the line. Now we're going to go to step 2. Step 2 says use a point. Either will work. So you are going to get the same final answer in slope-intercept form or standard form with either point. You could get different point slope forms if you use a different point, of course, and many, infinite number, are possible, okay? You're always going to go to point slope form. So which one should we use? Well, I tend to use the one without the negatives just because it's easier, right? So I'm going to pick this point right here, right? So remember, point slope form is y minus y1 equals m times x minus x1. Now, don't be confused by the fact that I do have x1 and y1 here, and I labeled it like this to find the slope, right? You could call these points whatever you want. You could have swapped these values, right? So don't be confused that this is not my x of 1, right? It's just an example point on the line, any point on the line. So I'm going to use 4, 1, and the slope that we found, -1/2. Okay, and I'm going to plug it into point slope. So when I do that, I have y minus 1 equals -1/2 times x minus 4. And so this would be the answer in point slope form. And remember, you always start with point slope form. Now, from here, I can take it to either slope-intercept form or standard form, remember, okay? So for slope-intercept form, I need to get it into y equals mx plus b form, right? Remember, we just distribute. So y minus 1 equals -1/2 x plus, because it's a negative times a negative, +2. Is that in slope-intercept form? Not quite. Okay, we need to take this now and add 1 to get y equals negative 1/2 x plus 3. Okay, so this right now, right, because it's in y equals mx plus b, or slope-intercept form, it's important to know that form is the slope and intercept form. Now, this is done if that's all we wanted, slope-intercept. But we want you to know how to get all forms. So, in step 4, if I wanted to ultimately get to standard form, what would I do? I'm going to erase this so that you can see it a little bit better. Squeaky here. Okay. Now I want to take this form right here, and I would like to put it in standard form. So we know that standard form, if I want to take this down to standard, it's going to be in that ax plus by equals c form. So what do we have to do? Well, I have my choices, right? Remember, we can't have fractions, so do we want to get rid of the fractions first? Sure. I would need to multiply everything by 2. So I would have 2y equals negative 1x plus 6. And then I would want to bring the x's over to the left side because I want standard form. My finger works better than the eraser. So I'd have 1x plus 2y equals 6. And this is standard form. Okay? So you have the skills to do this because we've worked a lot on this skill, right? This whole transforming from one form to the other. And you know how to find the slope of a line with the formula. We did that before I left. And so you just need to kind of put things together. But you need to think about what they're asking you to do. So right now, I want you to, on the back side, I want you to do these 4 examples right now. Right? And when you're done doing these 4 examples, I want you to check your answers on Schoology. Okay, I'll post those answers on Schoology for you so you can make sure you're doing them all right. All right, tonight's homework is going to be a whole page of these going from the points to the equation. All right. Make sure you keep it up with the homework. Next week, you're definitely going to have an assessment, and it will be on a combination of the sections in Chapter 3 and the sections in Chapter 4 that you've done.